Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you can't tell by this amazing backdrop and that little intro clip, we are here where really my diesel performance journey kind of really took off. We are back at Power Driven Diesel in Cedar City, Utah. And behind me is the dyno. Now, for those of you guys that have watched my channel for a long time, it should bring some nostalgia. For those of you guys that are new, I did a lot of learning and a lot of heartbreak right here. There's pieces of block that are probably still in that fence line. This was the first place I ever smacked 2,000 horsepower, and the list goes on and on and on. First time I ever had my son ride on here, so it's a little sentimental. Now, we got the quad cab parked out there. We're helping out Daniel Lee measure his block. He's trying to make UCC, so we're doing that. But tonight, we're gonna do some engine break-in runs, some Bosch verification on the dyno, and that'll be about this video. We're also gonna do the final weight on the truck, and we got a little bit of wiring to do still on the map sensor, and that is it. I'm getting my dually tires swapped. I can tell you this, if you're watching this video, if you're gonna take somebody's money and promise them something and then call them back and say that the price changed because of the tariffs, I'm not gonna buy that wheel. So moving forward, I had wheels and all this stuff, and then they decided that they wanted to put a tariff add-on charge. Now, mind you, I paid for the entire wheel setup before the tariffs, and it took them that long to get the order ready. So anyway, we'll get that fixed. So Derek, he is a salesman at Power Driven Diesel, got us hooked up over at CMC Tire in Cedar. His cousin, I believe, owns the shop, and they are putting a couple of tires on my trailer just to make sure they're good to go. And they are putting all new tires on my dually for UCC. That way we have good tires on the trailer, good tires on the tow rig, and we'll get there. That's half the battle, is getting there. And before we start this video, I just wanted to take a second. When you do UCC or any of these big events and stuff, I want the audience and the people watching, I know it's disappointing when trucks go out and don't do well and this and that, but this is the lifestyle of the guys that do this for your pleasure. Dan took a day off work. He drove all the way to Cedar to help get his motor put together. I left my house at 9 o'clock last night, got to Power Driven at 6 in the morning, and I'm gonna dyno tonight and maybe tomorrow and make it home in time for Mother's Day to go be with my wife. So all I ask is that when you guys see the UCC competitors, stuff like that, and I know I'm not the only one, and maybe they don't have a good showing or something like that, just remember all the backbreaking work that goes into this event. And even though we did test and we did this, stuff happens, things tear up, and you got to keep pushing. So that's where we're going to be tonight. There's Dan right there. Shoo, look at that. So we're getting him measured out, and then Will over at PDD, he had this block machine, but I'll be honest, the machining's not the best. So Will offered some free machining for a UCC competitor. So Will has figured out what I have figured out with sponsoring events and racers and stuff. If you just sponsor everybody, you're a winner, and you don't even have to put a truck together to go to the event. So anyway, guys, we'll pick this back up. I just want to shoot this intro clip, and we'll see what it makes on the dyno. All right, and there she is, looking meaty. Okay, guys, so after quite a day yesterday of getting Senior Dan set up, I was pretty tired. Meyer was tired. He's getting over being sick. We just went to dinner and we said we'll do this today. Ideally, it's going to be a longer day today, but we got a late start per usual. So it's about 11 o'clock, and we're going to go ahead and do our first warm-up run. As soon as we get the truck kind of warmed up and we do those couple pulls, we're going to pull the valve cover, retorque the head, or check it. Hopefully it doesn't need it, but you never know. So Mara's getting her strapped down, and Mara and I were just reminiscing. The last time this truck was probably strapped to this dyno, it was silver and rusty and probably full weight.
Yeah.
Mara seems to think we're making big power. Hate to break it to him. So
Don't fly yourself on.
Okay, but old girl is strapped down. Let's give it a hit, see what happens. Okay, so we did about 3 soft baby pulls. It made 800 horsepower. What an upgrade. No, I'm kidding. It made 800 horsepower. I still had the air filter on. We did the final retorque on the head. I got about, what, Meyer, 1/8 a quarter turn? Yeah. Normally on the last hot retorque, when you run it with coolant and everything, these rocker arm ones are the ones that move, because the exhaust side gets really hot naturally, but this side never gets the temperature when there's no coolant in the block. So this is the side that usually moves the most. So if like the outside exhaust ones barely move and these ones get a quarter turn, try to remember your first hot retorque where these probably didn't move as much. So we are done with that now. Again, we're not here to set any horsepower records. We're just waiting on Jeff to come on a team viewer. Again, this is Saturday, just so that way everyone kind of has a aspect. So PDD's letting me use the dyno on a weekend. Jeff is coming online on a weekend. And that's what it takes to do UCC. You got to have friends. And yeah, Dan figured that out. UCC is not you can lone wolf it, but man, it's hard. Like, it takes a team. And even if you're just the one that built it, kind of like I did it at my house, it still takes a team to test it and everything else. Get you over that last little hoop, as you can tell by how Meyer helped me on mine. So I also think I need to go get some fuel. We are getting pretty close to being empty, so I'll grab some fuel and we'll pick the camera up when we start to run it again. But all right, guys, we are now set up where I have my AEM kind of the way I want it. We just got off the phone with Jeff, and we're gonna go ahead and run this on the dyno. We're set up with 325 milligrams per stroke, which should be about 1200-ish horsepower, I would say, because it calculates out with the Bosch to 1500 horsepower at 4500 RPM, and that's at the crank. So you multiply that plus the terrible air in Utah. So we're hoping for about 1200 horsepower. So we're gonna actually run it loaded and see what it does. So, oh, no weird sounds yet. Hopefully it stays that way.
I have the dyno suck you down to 25. You're welcome.
I was like trying to figure out what's going on. Like,
Nice. What power did you think you were gonna make?
1200.
It's 1208.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, I could get used to this milligram crap.
Dude, like, the calculating, man. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, I can back channel it from US and NPA. I'm pretty much tuna.
Massa tuna right here.
Hey, look at that.
No, yeah.
Perfect.
Hell yeah.
That might be from the hot retort, too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So 1208 horsepower. I believe on camera I said 1200. So this is the beauty, I would say, of having your injectors mapped and doing all the milligrams per stroke and mm cubed and all that. Like, I just kind of John Wayne'd a number and John Wayne hit. So that was fuel only, 325 milligrams. There's a lot more fuel on the table. We can easily get to 1,000 milligrams. Just to put that into perspective. Now, I do believe that there are diminishing returns on mm or milligrams when you start stretching out the injector. So it doesn't magically fix pulse width problems, stuff like that. But that was a pretty good hit. Meyer kind of changed something on the dyno that threw me off driving, but it's always nerve-wracking. We spun it to 4,500. Because this is fuel only, it's probably not gonna try to make peak power where I want it to make peak power. But it was a good test run. I'm happy. Does it sound cool? Yeah. It's not triple GT55s though. Yeah. I will say, as much hell as I give Todd about good times and P pumps, that triple GT55 setup was just another level. So we're gonna go over the truck a little bit, make sure everything looks good, and we'll cool it off, and I'm gonna turn up the fuel. All right, guys, so on that 1,200 horsepower run, we got all of our logs. We got line pressure, everything that we want to see. So about 4,400, 4,500 RPM, made 60-ish pounds of boost, 73 pounds of drive pressure, which the turbos were barely going. EGTs were 1254. And now we went ahead and set it from 325 milligrams per stroke. Meyer did the math for 1,600 horsepower. It should be 433 milligrams per stroke. So we changed that. We didn't change any timing, so it'll be interesting to see, because like the timing table did not change. So we'll run it again and see what it has. Really, we're just trying to get like a good file and then kind of work from there. If you were hoping to see a 3,000 horsepower dyno attempt on this video, I'll break your heart right now. It's not gonna happen. So anyway, back to Bosch things.
On that one.
We did a couple of hits, and Meyer and I are trying to understand how the Bosch works, because I want to make my own changes, because deep down inside I'm a control freak. But we were struggling to understand. So two things. Number one, there's a smoke map, and because of the milligrams of air getting pumped into the engine wasn't enough, it was riding a smoke limiter on the first couple of hits, which were the 1,400 horsepower or 1,200 horsepower hits. So we called Jeff, we made some changes to the smoke map, and we basically just added a little bit of fuel to get it through that. And I think that tune file would run good at sea level or 1,000 feet, not at 5,800 feet here at Power Driven's dyno. So we made some adjustments to the smoke map, and the smoke map is how you make these trucks run real clean. And then we ran it, it made 1475, but the US wasn't correlating to the injector map. Well, the injector...
Nice. 1460. Nice. Well, this autofocus is trash.
Well, the injector map is calculated in cubed. The Bosch speaks in milligrams per stroke. So a simple calculation made us realize that we were actually a little bit further. So now we understand what changes the duration, what changes the rail pressure, and how to use the different tables. So a lot of it's just understanding that, getting the logger set up. And we basically told Jeff to go to bed. We're gonna do a small dyno hit on some spray just to make sure everything works, it doesn't leak, none of the solenoids stick open. I'm pretty sure it's like a 110 and a 99 in there, so I mean, nothing crazy. I'm gonna turn them both on. We'll run them on a full throttle switch with a boost safety, the way I always do, and we'll see what happens. Can't be that bad, right, Mar? So It's now getting pretty late. I do have to get home because Mother's Day is tomorrow. By the time you guys watch this video, it's well and gone. But if you are a mom that watches it, or if you have a mother in your life, happy Mother's Day to them. We'll pick it back up and you'll get to see the, hopefully some, you think we'll see some flames? I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right guys, this is our final hit. We turned on a little spray, see what happens.
Those brakes are glowing. Keep them going. Why the spectacle there?
Huh? 1968, is it? Is that the same fuel quantity that the 14 to 1968? Wow. 1470 to 500. What was it? 100 yen?
And the 99.
Wow.
And the 99 wasn't all. I think I let out early. Or
You
did it lay over?
I mean, you peaked right early, right there.
Well,
Last time.
did they throw sparks?
Yeah.
I saw them.
Yes. So that was a 110 and a 99, and it made what, 1978?
1968.
1968. That's the same fuel that we did 1475 on fuel only. Sounds clean. I'm happy. Tested out the staging on the dyno, so to speak. Engine seems fine. So I'm gonna load it up. We're gonna scale it real quick, and we'll either do the outro in the truck or I'll do the outro when I get home. But that will conclude our dyno session. Again, big thank you to Jeff and also Levon. I messaged him. He was not able to help us due to the setup being a little different, but I appreciate him being available as well on a Saturday. So 1968, heck of a number. We're 1,000 short, but we have not turned up very much fuel at all. So we'll see what it does. All right, just like that, we're gonna check the trans out real quick and scale it. I don't know if I showed you guys this, but I got the headlights and the fog lights to work, so that way I could drive it at night. But I'll tell you what, it's pretty cool to smack almost 2,000 horsepower and then just drive it. Pretty cool. So 2,000 horsepower looks freaking great. Look at that filter. Shine it up there, Maya. That's where you really see the debris. And just keep in mind, guys, this is now a WP Developments quad disc 35 slot converter. I don't want to brag just yet, but I'm pretty sure I set the record on Ethan's converters just now. So I got back. I have shaved. It's only a day later, but let's unpack. So couple things. Number one, big thank you to PDD for letting me use the dyno and let me use the lift, the scales, a bunch of stuff. Now, that reminds me. So we scaled it, okay? The numbers were way weird. So we were at 5232, or no, 51 something. And so I was obviously very disappointed. I ended up looking and weighing all the tires and everything. So we're at 4,996.2 pounds. So I'm happy with that. It is what it is. The only other weight loss I have planned is a Lexan window for the front because my factory glass is cracked. And by the time I add up a new window And window tint, it's just cheaper to get the glass from Firepunk. So we're gonna get that coming. I'd also like to thank Jeff again for helping me, and Lavon for answering some questions. The big thing I want to give credit to is how smooth the Bosch is. Like, that dyno hit, it might not have seemed like it on camera, was so much more controlled than the normal 849 stuff. Now, it was a lower fuel quantity, stuff like that, but either way, like the way the power came on was so smooth. Like, even the truck, like normally on a hit like that, the truck would have been like ripping at the strap. It was just so smooth. And I thought that was interesting. Now, moving forward for UCC, obviously I just want to see 3,000 horsepower. I don't even care if it's 3,000.0 horsepower. So we're going to do some calcs off of fuel quantity, figure out where we need to be. As far as nitrous goes, I'm pretty comfortable on where we need to be with the nitrous. So hopefully we put on a good show for everyone at UCC. Keep in mind that 1,968 horsepower smack was corrected. The correction factor was like 25 or 24%. So I'm going off of that calc being about 1,500 horsepower on a Superflow in Brownsburg, Indiana. So I'm not trying to claim anything, like, and you know, I was talking to Will about this. Will was there too. You know, he's like, oh, do you want to try for more? And I'm like, dude, even if I hit 3,000 horsepower at PDD on their dyno, it'll never count. Correction factor, it's not a Superflow, so it's just not worth to keep smacking the block. And that's why we have a proven concept. We know exactly at this many milligrams of fuel how much power the truck makes. And I think that the current base file on 325 milligrams is going to drag race really well. And we kind of saw, well, I didn't see, but going off of what the Bosch team that we have has told me, it's very linear for a certain amount of time. So if I doubled that doubled that quantity of fuel, you can kind of predict what the truck will make. So kind of moving forward, I guess, we'll have good insight into it. And because we have a good starting value on fuel only and a good starting value on nitrous, we can then predict kind of what the truck will do. So going off of the calculation of about 16 to 1,700 horsepower, we should be able to go deep into the fives with that. So that's a good drag racing strategy. The timing is super conservative in this tune file. I believe at 4,000 RPM, it's still only in the 30s. So it's very conservative, and we did that for reliability and to learn, right? So we'll play more with the timing, stuff like that as it progresses. But right now we have a good base file. We got the data. Meyer helped me wire up the kill switch so that we're drag race and sled pull legal. We also got the Max 5 fully functioning. That was the other reason why we used nitrous. I want to make sure the Max 5 worked the way it should. The Max 5 worked perfectly, as it usually does when it's set up correctly. And I tell this to everyone, I don't care. I use TPS activation with a boost safety on the Max 5 for dynoing, and then for drag racing, I use a boost referenced nitrous map with a throttle safety. So anyway, it was a great weekend. I'm glad we got to help Dan Lee, and I say we, really it was mostly PDD, but it was cool to meet him. And again, like I know when I said this earlier, it might have came across a little grouchy because I was tired, but I just, for any of you guys that hate on UCC or this or that, I saw some comments like it's regressed and this. So for the number one thing is UCC 2021 had a huge progression because they allowed us to bring 2 trucks. The 2 truck rule allowed guys to focus way more on drag racing and then have a pulling truck. Now, do I agree with the way it was implemented? Having, like, I had Jason Wayman pull for me? No, it should have been, I have a pull truck and I have a drag race and dyno vehicle. And when they got rid of that in 2022, there was some regression there. And the reason, 2022 was the year of 2 trucks. 23, there was some regression because a lot of guys cut their trucks up to make them more drag racing oriented, and it's hard to justify putting that all back on. So because the truck has to do 3 events and it's got to be the same truck, there are just certain things that you're limited on. And a lot of it is preservation of material, right? Like, do I really want to go out and try to make 3,000 horsepower going down the drag race track? Probably not, because then I might not have an engine to dyno with, or you're going to tear up the trans, or this, that, or the other. So it is more of a marathon event than a sprint. It is not nearly as chaotic as KOS is with points and fluctuation and that, but there is some strategy to UCC as well, looking at points, stuff like that. And at the end of the day, all of the competitors there, whether you feel like they earned their spot or if they're a fill-in, whatever, they are still doing this event that takes an incredible amount of time and money and dedication. And I hope you guys get a glimpse of that even on my channel. I have not covered the UCC stuff super in depth, and it's more so because of the time it takes to document it than it is about keeping secrets, so to speak. Like I don't care. Like Dan asked me for all the engine specs and I gave him what I thought he should do, this, that, and the other. Like, I don't care helping people, but it is an incredible feat to make it there, and then it's another feat to have a good showing. So whether they have a good showing or they don't have a good showing, there are a lot of companies, trucks that are capable of doing it. Now, whether the marketing isn't the draw anymore or whatever, I think a lot of guys just got burned out. UCC pretty much wrecks a season if it goes bad for you. If you tear up a motor or trans, something like that, and you got to wait for it to get fixed. So I get both sides of the coin, but for a DIYer like myself, it is achievable, but you have to be super, super multifaceted in a way. Like you guys saw, like I do my own fab work, I do my own engine building, I do my own transmission building. Like you have to have all of those skills, and it takes a while to develop those skills. So I don't expect to see a ton of new competitors for UCC every year. The guys that buy their engines and put them in and stuff like that, like it is what it is. At the end of the day, there's still a lot of pride in guys that build their own trucks. But as a competitor, like I don't care if you built it or you had a shop build it, like I want to win that event. So moving forward with it, we're gonna do some trailer maintenance. I have to mount some stuff in the trailer. I'm gonna make a spot so I can hang my door. The driver door I take off. I'm gonna put some racking and stuff in there to make the trailer easier to pack, stuff like that. And then I'll probably do another video on the dually. I'm gonna put a transmission fluid cooler in. We'll be utilizing the fire pump brackets. So we got a little bit of toe pig maintenance, so to speak. And that's about it. As far as the race truck goes, I have a couple of fittings I need to swap. I gotta install the trans temp sensor. I gotta put the front glass windshield in, or the front Lexan window in, and probably just some touch-ups here or there. But all in all, guys, unless something really bad happens to me or my family, the truck will be there. And I just wanted to get this video out there to let you know that we will be competing. I checked off everything on the list as far as pre-checks, things I wanted to test before I do that drive. It is 40 hours for me to get there each way. The last thing, I will be bringing merch to Ultimate Callout Challenge. I do not have a booth. You can swing by the pits and you will see a lot of familiar faces. Where you obviously have my wife Kyla there, my son Jace will be there. We will also have Meyer's wife, Miss Tessa, there, and we will also have David's wife, Miss Keeley, there. Or I say wife, she pretty much is his wife at this point. And I would assume that David's going to bring some WOT merch as well, or I'll at least tell him to bring it. So we'll have a new t-shirt design. We'll have our hats, and it's first come, first serve. I don't want to ship it and deal with Shopify. So I will have merch there. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there, and hopefully you have a good event. Give this one a big thumbs up. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you're not already. And as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one.